If you're over 50 and you've noticed your glutes are flattening, losing shape or firmness, even if you stay active, walk, or incorporate exercise into your routine, there's something important you need to know, because you're likely focusing on the wrong issue. No, it's not age or a lack of discipline, effort, or consistency. In fact, you can do everything right and still not see results. The real cause is much more subtle and eludes almost everyone. It's your pelvis. Yes, the position and balance of your pelvis can inhibit glute activation without you even realizing it, making every rep, every squat, and every step far less effective than it should be. And the best part is, it doesn't cause any obvious pain, so almost no one notices. In this video, you'll learn why this happens and, more importantly, how to fix it with 3 simple, strategic, no-gym moves designed to restore the strength, stability, and fitness you thought you'd lost. After age 50, many active people start to notice something strange. Their body no longer responds the same, even if they continue to exercise. Their glutes lose firmness. Those previously non-existent dips, hip dips, appear on the sides of their thighs. And simple movements like walking, climbing stairs, or getting up from a chair begin to feel less stable. The worst part is, this happens even while maintaining healthy habits, daily walks, core workouts, even squats. Then the inevitable question arises, what am I doing wrong? And this is where most people go wrong, because the problem isn't a lack of discipline or age per se, but something much deeper and more subtle about your body's alignment. More specifically, the position of your pelvis that almost no one talks about. You can train regularly, but if your body isn't aligned correctly, those efforts not only lose effectiveness, but also reinforce faulty movement patterns. It's like trying to build strength on an unstable foundation. Sooner or later, something stops working. And the most disconcerting thing is, this shift is usually not accompanied by obvious pain. There's no clear alarm. Results simply stop appearing, and your body begins to change for no apparent reason. The pelvis is the control center for the entire lower body. It's the structure that connects the upper and lower body, and from which key movements like walking, bending, and balancing are coordinated. When it's in the correct position, the right muscles, especially the gluteus medius, which is responsible for lateral hip shape and stability, activate naturally and effectively. But over time, factors like prolonged sitting, lack of movement variety, and certain pastoral habits create subtle distortions, tilts, rotations, or compensations that go unnoticed. And here's where the key happens. The brain loses the ability to properly connect to these muscles. So even though you think you're training your glutes, other muscles are actually doing the work for them. The lower back, hip flexors, or quads begin to compensate, and gradually the glutes weaken, flatten, and become unresponsive. So you can do more reps, more exercises, or even train more frequently and still not see real changes, because the problem isn't how much you're doing, but where you're doing it from. The solution isn't increasing the load, but restoring the neuromuscular connection and retraining the body to move the way it should. And that's exactly what you'll learn here. A different approach, smarter and more tailored to what your body really needs after 50, using 3 simple yet strategic exercises that get to the root of the problem. Exercise 1. Initial activation, marching in place. This may seem too simple to be effective, and that's where most people go wrong, underestimating the basic movements, even though they're the ones that determine whether everything else will work or not. Marching in place isn't just about lifting your knees, it's a neuromuscular reprogramming exercise that directly affects the connection between your brain and your hip muscles. After 50, one of the main problems isn't a lack of strength, but a loss of coordination and effective activation. Your body still has muscles, but it's forgotten how to use them properly. That's where this movement comes into play. By alternating leg lifts in a controlled manner, you recreate one of the most fundamental patterns of the human body, walking. But doing it mindfully, slowly, and with focus forces your nervous system to relearn how to activate the right muscles at the right moment. This process is key because it reactivates the gluteus medius and other deep stabilizers that often go dormant due to years of sedentary behavior or poor movement habits. Furthermore, this exercise begins to subtly correct pelvic alignment, as each knee lift requires a small balance adjustment, forcing the body to stabilize. It's as if you're awakening a network of forgotten muscles that, once activated, completely change the way you move. Now, the key is how you execute it. It's not about speed or mindlessly doing lots of reps. On the contrary, Doing it quickly can reinforce the very mistakes you're trying to correct. The approach here is completely different. Control, awareness, and precision. Keep your core upright, avoid leaning back or to the side, and gently engage your abs to stabilize your pelvis. Every time you lift your knee, do it with intention, feeling your pelvis organized to support you. If you're doing it right, you'll start to notice something interesting: a sense of engagement in your pelvic area, improved balance, and a stronger connection to the movement. This is one of the first signs that your body is responding, and while it may seem small, it's this step that determines the success of everything that follows. Without this initial activation, subsequent exercises build on a weak foundation, and the body begins to compensate again as usual. But when you do this phase correctly, everything changes. The glutes become more engaged, the pelvis stabilizes, and the movement becomes more efficient. This is where the real transformation begins, not with intensity, but with the quality of the movement. And the most powerful thing about all of this is that this exercise, so simple at first, can be the difference between continuing to repeat unworkable patterns and finally seeing real results in the way your glutes feel and look. Exercise 2. Basic strength, the traditional squat. This is where many people think they're already doing everything right, but it's where they make the biggest mistakes, without even realizing it. The traditional squat is one of the most popular and recommended exercises, especially when it comes to strengthening the legs and glutes. But after age 50, it stops being an automatic movement and becomes an exercise that requires intentional control and awareness. Why? Because over time, your body not only loses strength, but also changes the way it distributes the load. It begins to rely more on certain muscles, like the quads or lower back, and stops activating other key ones, like the glutes. This means you can perform squats regularly, even with a good attitude and discipline, but still not truly activate the muscles you want to work. And this is where frustration sets in. You do the exercises, feel like you're trying, but you don't see any real change in the shape of your glutes or your stability. What's happening is the body compensating. It's using the easiest route, not the most efficient one. And every time you repeat this pattern, you reinforce it. So the goal here isn't just to do squats, but to learn how to do them in a way that forces the body to engage the right muscles. When you understand this, the squat stops being a generic movement and becomes a precise tool for rebuilding strength from the ground up. It all starts with position. Place your feet shoulder-width apart, find your footing, and make sure you're comfortable. From there, initiate the movement by pushing your pelvis back, as if you were going to sit down. This detail completely changes the mechanics of the exercise because it places the load on your glutes, not your knees. Keep your chest up but without arching excessively, and allow your torso to tilt slightly naturally. As you lower, make sure your knees follow the line of your feet and don't collapse inward. Only go as low as you can maintain control. You don't need extreme depth to get results. Now comes the part that really makes a difference: how you lift. This is where you decide which muscles work. Push through your heels, not your toes, and focus on driving your pelvis forward as you return to the starting position. This simple change completely transforms muscle activation, forcing your glutes to take on the primary role instead of your knees or lower back. But there's something even more important than visible technique. It's what's happening inside your body as you move. Your nervous system will always seek the most efficient, but not necessarily the most correct, way to perform a movement. If your glutes are weak or disengaged, your body will automatically activate other muscles to compensate. So you need to add intention to every rep. Before you lower yourself, think about activating your glutes. As you rise, focus on pushing through your heels. This internal focus significantly improves muscle activation and completely changes the outcome of the exercise. Also, control your tempo. Lower slowly and with control, pause briefly, and rise mindfully. This tempo not only reduces the risk of compensation, but also increases your time under tension, which improves strength without the need to add weight. Over time, you'll begin to notice the difference. You'll feel the work in your hamstrings, your stability will improve, and everyday movements like getting up from a chair or climbing stairs will become easier. And this is where the squat truly shines. It's not just a glute exercise, it's a fundamental pattern that directly impacts your quality of life. It doesn't matter whether your squat looks perfect or you need to adapt it by using a chair or decreasing the depth. What matters is that it works for your body and allows you to activate the right muscles without pain or compensation. Because when you perform this movement well, You not only strengthen your glutes, you build stability, confidence, and the ability to move safely in everyday life. And after age 50, that's far more valuable than any number of reps. Exercise 3. Specific activation, hip abduction with pelvic control. This is where the change happens that most people never achieve because they simply never train this muscle properly. You can squat, walk every day, even remain active for years, and still see those dips in the sides of your hips or feel unstable when moving. The reason? The gluteus medius. This muscle, located on the side of the thigh, is truly responsible for the round, firm, and balanced shape that many strive for. But it also serves an even more important function. It stabilizes the pelvis every time you walk, step up a step, or stand on one leg. And here's the detail that almost no one explains. If this muscle isn't activated correctly, your body loses stability and automatically begins to compensate with other structures. Your lower back tightens, your flexors and hips become overloaded, and your knees begin to take on more of the load than they should. Over time, this affects not only the appearance of your glutes, but also how you move and feel in your body in everyday life. Therefore, this exercise isn't optional, it's fundamental. It's the bridge between the strength you're building and the shape you want to regain. And the most interesting thing is that, unlike more general exercises, this movement doesn't allow you to hide mistakes. You can't compensate without noticing. You either activate the right muscle, or you immediately feel the strain in the wrong place. The execution seems simple, but it's actually deeply technical. Stand next to a wall or a chair to have a light point of support. Place your feet hip-width apart and make sure your posture is completely straight. Before you move your leg, there's a step that changes everything. Gently activate your abdominal muscles, as if you want to fix your pelvis in place. This isn't a strong tension, but a light but conscious activation that prevents the body from tilting or rotating. From here, lift your leg out to the side slowly and with control. And here's the key that transforms this exercise. Don't aim for height, aim for control. Most people make the mistake of trying to lift their leg as high as possible. But at that point, the body begins to tilt, the pelvis loses stability, and other muscles take over. When this happens, the gluteus medius stops working. Instead, if you keep your pelvis completely stable and lift your leg only as far as you can control the movement without compensating, you activate the muscle exactly how it should. Pause briefly at the top. Feel the contraction in the side of your thigh. Then slowly lower your leg, not letting gravity do the work for you. This lowering phase is just as important as the lifting phase because it strengthens control and neuromuscular connection. If at any point you feel strain in your lower back or the front of your thigh, that's a clear sign that you need to adjust your technique. Less range of motion, more control. Over time, you'll start to notice a difference. A more stable feeling when walking, better balance in your stance, and clearer glute activation in other exercises. And that's when it all starts to come together, because this movement not only improves the shape of your hips, but also trains the stability your body needs to move safely. It's the kind of exercise that doesn't look impressive at first glance, but completely changes the way your body functions from the inside out. And when that change occurs, the results stop being superficial and become structural, long-lasting, and visible in every movement you perform. Bonus exercise, standing up and sitting down in a chair. If you've gotten this far, this exercise will truly be something that changes your daily life. Because it's not just about training muscles, it's about training your ability to live with independence, security, and confidence. Getting up and sitting down from a chair may seem like something so simple, almost insignificant, but it's actually one of the most important movements you do every day, and also one of the first to deteriorate over time. What's interesting is that this everyday gesture brings together everything your body needs to do correctly. Activate your glutes, stabilize your pelvis, coordinate movement between your hips, knees, and core, and maintain balance without external support. When this pattern starts to break down, you notice it in small ways. You need to push off with your arms. You lean forward too much, feel unsure when lowering yourself, or even avoid repeating the movement. And while it may seem insignificant, these signals are clear indicators that your body is losing efficiency in this fundamental movement. This is where this exercise becomes key, because it not only strengthens but also retrains. Every time you sit and stand mindfully, you practice the precise pattern you need to maintain autonomy over the years. You're not just doing an exercise, you're practicing a vital skill for your daily life. And that completely changes how you should view it, not as an add-on, but as the centerpiece of your routine. How you perform it is everything. Start sitting in a sturdy chair with your feet hip-width apart and slightly behind your knees. From here, lean your torso forward in a controlled manner, keeping your back long, and prepare to stand without using your arms. This is the key. Instead of using speed or momentum to rise, focus on pushing through your heels, activating your glutes to lift your body. If you're doing this correctly, you'll feel the power coming from your hips, not your knees or lower back. Once standing, maintain control as you return to a sitting position without falling. Lower yourself slowly, directing the movement with your pelvis back, as if you want to touch the chair, not collapse into it. This lowering phase is also important because it develops control, stability, and coordination. And this is where many people discover something revealing. It's not as easy as it seems. That slight tremor is a feeling of effort or the need to control the movement, signals that you're activating muscles that likely haven't worked effectively in a while. With practice, you'll begin to notice very clear changes. You stand up easier, feel more stable, need less support, and move with more confidence. This exercise combines everything you've previously worked on, activation, strength, and control, and transfers it directly to your real life. Because ultimately, it's not how many exercises you do, but how well you can move when you really need to. And when this movement improves, you not only strengthen your glutes, you regain something far more valuable, your independence. What makes this approach different and far more effective is not just the choice of exercises, but the order in which you apply them and the intention behind each one. Here, you don't improvise or haphazardly accumulate movements. You follow a system that takes into account how your body actually works after 50. First, you activate, then you strengthen, and finally, you build form. This order changes everything because if you try to build strength on muscles that aren't properly activated, you only amplify compensations. And if you try to build form without a foundation of stability, the results will be superficial and temporary. In contrast, when you start by reactivating the neuromuscular connection, you remind your body how to use the right muscles. Then, by adding strength with proper mechanics, you build real functionality. And finally, by specifically working the gluteus medius, you begin to sculpt a shape you previously thought was impossible to regain. It's a progressive process, but a deeply logical one. And most importantly, it's designed to adapt to you, not force you to fit a one-size-fits-all program. If you apply this system 2 to 3 times a week with focus and consistency, you'll begin to notice changes that go far beyond appearance. In fact, here's what surprises most people. The first results usually don't show up in the mirror. They show up in the way you move, in how you walk with more confidence, how you rise from a chair effortlessly, how you maintain your balance without thinking about it. These small changes are actually huge signals. They show that your body is regaining what was lost: coordination, stability, and control. And when that happens, everything else begins to fall into place, because a body that moves well inevitably starts to look better. Improved glute shape results from proper function, not as an isolated goal. That's why this approach isn't about quick results, but rather real, long-term results. It starts at the core, changing how your body organizes and responds to movement. And when you notice those first improvements, greater balance, a sense of control, a confidence in movement, you know you're on the right track. You're not just training muscles, you're restructuring the way your body functions. And over time, this transforms into something far more valuable than just looks: freedom of movement, security in every step, and the peace of mind that your body responds when it truly needs to. If this video has given you clarity about why your glutes haven't been responding, and you feel like you finally figured out what was wrong, then it's time to take the next step and get things really right. Because when you begin training with intention, respecting how your body works after exercise, results stop being a struggle and become a natural consequence. If you want to continue improving your strength, mobility, and stability so you can move safely and confidently in your daily life, subscribe now, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future content created just for you. Now I want to read yours. Comment "strong legs" if you're ready to get started today. And also tell me what's been most frustrating about your progress so far. Your comment will not only help you take the first step, but it can also inspire others who are going through the same. Your body and your health will thank you. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.